All right, all right. Welcome to the Common Sense Show, the Mailbag. Now I know it's been a bit since I have actually done this, um, done a live on YouTube. Hey, what's up, Stump? I'm also live on Instagram right now, so if y'all see me going back and forth, I'm on live on YouTube, live on Instagram. It's been a bit since I've actually gone live. Um, hold on one second. Let me pull my boy up. Um, come on up, Stump. But I'm here today to do my monthly live mailbag, answering questions that people ask me. They sent questions to the show by email. They sent questions through the web, the commonsensepodcast.com. And basically, here I am. I'm ready to answer these questions. Burning questions about business strategy, anything that you all want to know. 1 second, I just got to change my mic.
To make sure that people can hear. Okay, here we are. All right. So, without further ado, let's get this thing started. I don't want to delay. So, here's the first question. If you were given $10,000 to start a business, what would you do with the money? Well, this is an interesting question because I actually was in this situation before. Um, if I was given $10,000 to start a business, what would I do with the money? So, first and foremost, what I would not do with the money, and this is important for you to understand, is I would not go and I wouldn't start doing a build out of a space if your business required a space or something else, and spend money on the aesthetics of the business up front. You have the opportunity to actually be able to add the aesthetics in the marketing. Add the aesthetics once you start increasing your revenue and once you start generating revenue. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to go ahead and jump and all of a sudden start spending that like $10,000 that you have to start your business on like the aesthetics for the business. I've been in that situation, like I said before, when I opened a studio, one of my fitness studios. I've owned many studios over the years. When I opened this fitness studio back in 2005, and I started with like about $10,000, and I spent most of the money on aesthetics. And the problem with that is that it left very little money for marketing. But if you know anything about business, the thing that you need is revenue, sales. That's what really matters in the business. How many people you can get to come through the door versus how many people your business can look good to. Nobody is going to see how good your business looks if nobody's coming through the door. That's just the reality. So when you are starting a business with a smaller budget, you need to focus on client acquisition. That is your number one priority. That is where you should focus. Because if you focus on anything else other than client acquisition, you're not going to have the revenue to do the things that you want to do when the time comes, and you're putting yourself at a distinct disadvantage compared to other people who are starting and have like marketing budgets. Now, if you're starting and you have no marketing budget, then you're kind of screwed if you're not like a hustler. If you're not instinctively a hustler and you're not instinctively a person who is good at networking and good at going into the community and talking to people and cultivating relationships and driving people in your business, then ultimately what's going to end up happening is um, all that money that you want to spend on fancy equipment and getting your business started is not really going to be worth a hill of beans, right? So it's so key for you to spend that money on like a marketing strategy, um, online, like especially now, Google My Business, getting Google AdWords running and working, refining your refining your marketing strategies for your business. All that stuff is way more important than what kind of floors you put in, what color paint you use, what is the latest equipment that you have in your business that you can use to actually to run your business. So that's a good question, and the answer, in my opinion, is very simple: is that you use that money to find a business that's easy to market, and not just easy to market, but also something that is easy to um, to grow through client acquisition. You got to just be careful with where you spend your money, especially at the beginning of starting your business. So another question I got from the mailbag is resilience the most important part of running a business? So if you've been listening to the podcast for some time or watching the podcast for some time on YouTube, then you've probably heard me say that resiliency is the number one trait that an entrepreneur needs to display in order to be successful. So they have, when I say they, I mean academics who study different aspects and areas of life, have kind of broken apart the study of what makes people successful. They've studied success for decades, and they tried to understand, is there a correlation between how smart a person is, what their IQ is, and how successful they're going to be in business. There was no correlation. Is there a correlation between a person's like emotional intelligence and whether or not they're going to be successful in business? There was no correlation. But then they checked. There was one factor that seemed to keep coming up when they were examining successful business owners, and it was resiliency quotient, which is not really a thing, but in a sense it is, right? A person's ability to actually be stress resistant to things that could affect their business. That was the number one correlator of success in business. How much they were able to bounce back when crap happened, when the crap hit the fan. Like, what are they going to do when things get really, really hard? Are they going to fold it up and run? Are they going to cry about it? Are they going to take action? So resiliency was the number one trait of entrepreneurs who were successful despite perhaps going through different forms of businesses, having different abilities, different intelligence levels, different intelligence quotients. Really, it was their ability to rebound from what they saw. The storms, weathering the storms was really the number one thing that correlated to success, basically. And you may have had to go through this yourself, right? Like, so you may have started a business or something to that effect, and when you started the business, you started going, and you're like, okay, well, this is going all right, and then the weather, like the turbulent times hit, and then you wanted to like dash out of it, right? You didn't really want to like hang in there, or you couldn't hang in there, or whatever reason is, and you kind of just gave up. And you have to be careful with that, because that is the number one trait of a successful entrepreneur. The person who doesn't give up, the person who hangs in there, is resilient, and then overcomes whatever the issues are surrounding the reason why they're struggling. And so that is the actual closest thing to a correlation of success that they have when it comes to being able to successfully run a business. I feel like being an entrepreneur is years of failure and a few short years of success that are dramatic, that people actually notice. It's like, it's so funny how people don't see the difficulties and the failures behind the scenes. And I guess it's incumbent upon entrepreneurs to let people know what they've gone through, which is why sharing stories of business successes is really important. But I think at the end of the day, honestly, if the correlator in business is that there is no correlation except for you being able to survive, it's really important for you to develop that trait of resiliency. If you're not resilient, you need to talk to someone about how to become more. Talk to a psychologist or something. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. So what are some small business common mistakes? Okay, so this is a question I've seen a lot. I've actually written 2 articles on this for some industry magazines I think it was both Inc. and I wrote an article in Inc. magazine and I wrote an article in an industry magazine about what are some common business mistakes. So the first business mistake that I've seen. Now, remember, I'm telling you this from the position of someone who has worked with dozens of business owners, spoken to hundreds of business owners, and I hear stories all the time because of the podcast and the live videos and everything I do, right? So, and just some of my own mistakes. So, like, what are some common small business mistakes? One is trying to stretch marketing dollars to the extent where you don't have enough marketing money to actually do client acquisition, right? So you're taking $1, you're trying to split it in 1,000 ways to try to get a customer to come in. Honestly, if I had a very limited marketing budget, I would try one method of marketing first. If that didn't work, I would go to the next one. If that didn't work, I would go to the next one. And you have to gauge and get data along the way to see, like, okay, what's working and what's not. But more importantly, what you don't want to do is take $1 and split it a million different ways. That just simply doesn't work. So taking a little bit of money and then splitting it a million ways, that to me is one common business mistake that people make. Another common business mistake that people make, in my opinion, is they don't have a plan for what they want to do for their business and their growth. They don't have strategies for like what kind of employees they want. Having no defined structured business plan that actually contributes to the success and growth of your business over time. And a lot of business owners wing it, and then they just see what they think are good opportunities, but those opportunities may not align with how they want to grow their business long term. And so, in my opinion, what I often see is small business owners making mistakes when it comes to alignment issues between and with other people who don't necessarily kind of share the same interests as the business owner. Another mistake I see, common small business mistake that I see that people make, is people don't have a marketing plan at all, right? So forget the marketing budget, the marketing plan at all. So they just throw money after, they waste it. So instead of stretching it, they actually waste it, right? And they don't have a defined plan with how they're going to get, maintain, and go after a target customer base. Another mistake I see people make is that they don't have a defined customer base with which to go after. They don't know who their true customer is. Who are you serving? Who buys your products? Who are these people? Where do they shop? What do they buy? What do they wear? Where do they spend money outside of your company? How old are they? How much money do they make? What problem are they looking to solve that you can solve? Like, what are the answers to those questions, right? A lot of people don't give you good answers to that question. And, you just got to be careful with that. So those are some of the basic, small, common business mistakes that people make in business. But there are a whole host of other common business mistakes that people make. I'm going to write a blog on this, and I'm going to put it on the commonsensepodcast.com as well. So you'll be able to check that out. So this question is interesting. Will small businesses make a comeback? And I'm assuming that this person is asking because of COVID. The answer is that some small businesses will make a comeback. Like the answer seems obvious, right? Like businesses were wiped out because of government restrictions, lockdowns, because people have changed interest, because people are behaving oddly now. Like it is harder to predict consumer behavior now because everyone has a different schedule. Think about this. If you were a landlord of an office building all the way up until January 2020, you were probably doing fine. And then COVID came. And then this wave of people wanting to work remotely and stay home, right? So if you're a landlord, you're in real estate. The pandemic wiped out entire swaths landlords' tenants, like in their desire to be in a an office building. That's why like these buildings that are being sold, like from what I read in Los Angeles, are being reduced by like 70% because there's no tenants there to give them the cash flow for the building. I mean, it's the reality of after COVID. So will small business make a comeback? I think that some small business companies will make a comeback depending on what industry you're in. But I don't really think that some industries are gonna. I think some industries are gonna have a tough time. This is why it was so important and critical for people to pivot during COVID and to align, like to get their business more modernized, and to bring their business online in a way that actually, makes them money. I mean, a lot of businesses were changed technologically like overnight, and a lot of it had to do with the complete disruption of the of industry, and they couldn't go anywhere, so people had to adapt. And I think that we now live in a hybrid world across the board. People value quality of life more now than ever before. So I think that quality of life businesses and those values will remain high because people are still earning their salaries and not having to go in the office. People are more worried about quality of life. So any business that contributes to, which is why I'm kind of happy because I own a quality of life business, right? In the health and wellness industry. So like I think that those consumers are going to continue to spend on things that drive their quality of life. And you're going to see that sustained for quite a long time. So this is a good question. This next question is a good one, actually. What are the different ways you can promote your business, your small business, with a limited budget? This is an excellent question. So I'm going to give you just like 5. Okay. Number 1, you have to be your own advocate. Use your own broadcast system. And now we all have social media. The second word in social media is media. We all have the ability to create our own brand online, how we're viewed in the public, to gain followers, to gain traction so that people know who you are. So how do you do that? Well, you post on a regular basis. You have a consistent, streamlined message and branding message that you're going to use to reach people. I mean, I think that's really important, like stupid crazy important, to have a good brand message. So that's that costs you nothing to do that. If you are a local brick and mortar business, joining your chamber of commerce, going to networking events, trying to align with businesses that are in your quote sphere of influence, complementary businesses that add to your business's offering, like that, those are good ways to align yourself with people who can actually promote you. Writing articles for an online magazine, having events, and then doing press releases. That's a free, a limited budget way to get more marketing, to get more eyes on you. Aligning yourself with someone who's bigger than you who can help market you as well. So those are some ways that you can promote your small business with a limited budget. Next, what are the different ways you can? I think I just answered this. Oh, these are kind of different. Oh, no. I pasted the same one twice. Sorry. All right. So the question is what to do about this. And okay, so the person sent me a screenshot of a review they got online, and they're trying to figure out how they can deal with it. So let's read this review. Hold on one second. We're going to read it together. All right. Let me just take this question off the screen. So the review says, not sure who else has had this experience with this place, but all I can say is I'll never return. It was our first time. Waited 2 days to get an appointment. Arrived at 6:17, 2 minutes after appointment. And we're told that we were late, and they cross out the name, blank, we'll call him Joe Schmo, was with the next customer. Just as we walked in. I've never in my life been turned away for being 2 minutes late. Apparently, they have a 5-minute grace period. Blank, Joe Smo, wouldn't even look at us. This is horrible customer service. I like supporting small businesses, but this one, I will not. What a shame. So this is interesting because I understand the concept of ruthlessly controlling your time. And I understand why it's so important for you, for a person, to not allow potential customers or customers to take advantage of the fact that they have a gracious late policy or a gracious cancellation policy. But if this review is to be believed, and we'll believe it on its face, being late for 2 minutes and then having that company kind of move on is, in my opinion, slightly ungracious to the person who had that appointment. I don't consider 2 minutes late or even 5 minutes late really late for an appointment. I mean, yes, it's late, but there's also that aspect of unspoken connection that you could have with your customers. Like if something is not really advantageous, right? Like if a person is trying to get over on you in some way, trying to screw you, that's one thing. But if you're just late for an appointment because of you're only 2 minutes late and they have a 5-minute late cancellation policy and the business poo-poos you and just goes to the next person, that's them being a bunch of jerks, in my opinion. That is not good customer service. And I agree with this person who wrote this review of this company. I think that whoever is running this business needs to take a look at what it takes to maintain good customer service on a level that people will rave about you and talk to you about other people. You want to build fans, not just customers. Raving fans is the way to go for people with whom you are interested in, people you're interested in actually, engaging. But like businesses sometimes do this crap and it's like ridiculous. So if you want to know why small businesses sometimes get a bad rap, it's like it's a joke like this, that gets small businesses a bad rap. I think it's absolutely insane. So yeah, I'm with whoever sent this to me. That that's not a good look on the company. So I thought I would share that. So quick mailbag today. I'm going to have another live mailbag next month. Okay. Of course. I'm going to try to do some more lives on the YouTube channel as well. I think these go pretty well. And I'll try to figure out what exactly is going to be the structure for the next live. But anyways, I'm going to do one live mailbag like I've tried to do a month. Last one I did was in May, now in June. And thank you all for submitting your questions. Now, if you're watching this and you have a question about small business processes, systems, how to grow your business, how to scale, marketing, branding, brand messaging, go to thecommonsensepodcast.com and submit your mailbag question. And I will, or you can leave a voicemail and I will play your question on air. And then we can talk about your question. And you'll hear me answer it directly. That's the best way to get me to answer a question for you, which is to go to thecommonsensepodcast.com, submit a contact form with your mailbag question, or leave a voicemail on the commonsensepodcast.com website, and I will answer. I will take that recording of your question, and we will listen to it on the air, and I will answer your question live. But I just wanted to say thank you for submitting the questions tonight. So last time we did this mailbag, I had like 10 or 12 questions. Tonight, we only had about 6 or 7. No, 8 questions. But that's cool. So get your questions in thecommonsensepodcast.com and submit them. And then next month, when I do my next mailbag, I'll have a lot more questions, I'm sure, because these questions kind of come in fast and furious when it's almost time for another mailbag. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for updates when I do more of these live mailbags and also more good featured content. And if you're watching on Instagram, like I don't know, dozen or so of you are, then make sure that you also like my Instagram page and subscribe to that as well. I have a lot more content coming up. Don't forget to check out the blogs on the commonsensepodcast.com. Check out the shorts. And remember, if you don't go to work on building your business, you're going to be going to work on building the business of someone else. Thank you for watching, and good night.